take your best shine.
Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the first ever 8:30 Club interactive experience. This is an experiment for us and a test. And what we're trying to do here is revive the spirit of the old Vienna, bring it up to date, and create an interactive live experience for you. I was inspired by my good friend Don White, who does weekly interactive concerts. And I'd like Don to come up and tell you guys how to be a good interactive audience member. Our host, our front of the team, house team, and will let you unmute, and you'll be able to experience this event as if you're in a room with everybody. So Don, do you want to tell people the tricks of the trade?
Hello, everyone. Hi, everybody. Okay, so here, this is what we're going to do. If you're new to Zoom, this is one of the things that you need to know is that we're going to try to unmute you, but you have to sort of we have to decide whether or not you are in a noisy place or not. So if you're in a quiet place, which you know, if you're new to Zoom, what that means is that what that means is that no dogs, no cats, you're in an office with the doors closed, and no fire engines are going to go by if you think it's going to be quiet. Remembering that any sound that you make when you're unmuted is as loud as the performer, so you can think of it as if you're in a small church basement. If you popped open a bag of chips or something like that, it would interrupt the show. So if you're in a quiet place and you'd like to be unmuted, go down to the bottom of your screen and you see the participants window, and that's like two torsos down there at the bottom. If you click on that, it'll open a window up, and somewhere on that window, sort of toward the bottom usually, is a blue hand. And if you click on that, that means you want to raise your hand, which is a way of telling the technical support team that you are in a quiet place, and we could unmute you so that you could hear some laughter, that we could hear some laughter and applause, and make it as interactive as possible here here on Zoom. So take a minute, go down there, find that participants window, click on it. When you see the blue hand, that's how you're telling us that you're in a pretty quiet place, and people will, our technicians will unmute you and kind of monitor you as well, so that if there's some noise coming from you that you're not aware of, like a fan kicks on or something like that, then they'll mute you so that you don't interrupt the show. But that way, all the performers will have an interactive experience. So I'm really honored to be here. I'm going to give it back to my friend Tim Mason right now.
Great. Well, thank you, Don. We're going to be hearing from Don a little bit later in the show. This show is called the 8:30 Club because it's celebrating my birthday, but not only my birthday. My good friend Dom Flemons, who some of you may know from the Carolina Chocolate Drops, is also a member of the 8:30 Club, and he is virtually participating with us. And we had a chance to chat about what we're doing. So right now we're going to go over and we're going to hear a little bit from Dom, and we're getting this show started. So this is the 8:30 Club, and I'm here with my birthday brother, Dom Flemons. We're kicking something off here. Explorations in cyberspace, breaking the walls. Dom, where are you at? How are you joining us here?
Well, as you can see, I am in Anywhere USA right now, and I'm so glad that I can join into the 8:30 Club. You know, I want to give a shout out to you, Tim, and my birthday brother, and I want to give a shout out to let's see, who else is there that's in the 8:30 Club? There's R. Crumb, the great underground cartoonist, is a 8:30 Club. Jimbo Mathis. Who else is there? My old tour manager, Jimmy Ryan. You know,
I remember Jimmy.
Yeah, so he manages Mandolin Orange now, so he's doing a bunch of stuff, but he's in the 8:30 Club with us. I think I read once Cameron Diaz is in the 8:30 Club, but again, you know.
So we've got ways to expand this out into many dimensions.
Oh, absolutely. Just like being a part of the 8:30 Club, everybody knows that we're the holdout for summer. We're when the afterburners of summer come into play. So when everybody's like, I loved summer, 8:30 Club is kind of when the summer's like, okay, one more last great summer night, one last great summer vacation, or one last trip, you know?
That's right. And with this new technology we have, we're able to bend time and space to do other things. So this whole event here is trying to stay contemporary, but reaching back to the spirit of the old Vienna Kaffeehaus, the OVK, the old school poetry slam of the 90s. That's one of the places where we overlap and share experiences.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do here is just bring all this back to life and find some new ways to invent ourselves. And I'm really glad to have you be a part of dragging us into the 21st century here.
Hey, well, that's all right. Well, you know, if it wasn't me, it seems like the 21st century was starting to pull anyway. So we're kind of in this really interesting place where we're driven toward the future, you know, and that's one of the things I'm so glad that even across the country we can speak of our belated birthdays and be able to help at least open up the door so that people can get to experience some of the arts and folk and poetry culture that's so much a part of the US. And I think with this new technology, it's great because we're up close, you know, and again, even though we're not in a literal space together, we can bend reality in any sort of way that we want to. And for performance art, poetry, and folk music, that's like that. I mean, that's what we strive for. I mean, that's what guys, I don't know, like Dave Van Ronk or guys like Lenny Bruce were always going for, Amiri Baraka, that intimate moment where you can show the audience what you got to do, what you mean to show them, you know?
Right, and now with this Zoom thing that we got going, we can break through and let the audience talk back to us from wherever they are. And we are going to be hearing from literally all over North America this evening. We've got a guest signing in from Anchorage, Alaska, another from Edmonton, Alberta, go out to Nova Scotia, over to Austin, Texas, and we're all going to be in this one big room together. And that's what's exciting to me.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's funny with the technology because a lot of times it's so hard to get all of us together because all of us have our own schedules and our own lives that we live. So getting a big gathering together is always a special occasion. I'm so glad that we can kind of fill the gap and hopefully get us together more often. I think that that's going to be something that'll be great, just to get our, I don't know, artistic blood flowing and get us thinking about good times, the ones that we're going to have, but also the ones that we've had in the past. You know, the technology has been sort of a double-edged sword. It's taught us to move so fast that now I think we are all starting to try to turn a new leaf and are starting to reflect while we use this new technology for our benefits. That's what I hope, at least.
Right. Well, that's why I love this idea that we're starting a virtual club. For the artist, all the advantages. Routing is great. You get your green room whatever way you want to. And for you in the audience, look, there's no parking hassles, no dress code, always open bar, and you just can make yourself at home. And with these side rooms that we've got set up, you get to walk around, tap your buddy on the shoulder, go out and have a private chat, come on back into the club. We ain't going anywhere. So that's the 8:30 Club that we're kicking off right about now, I think.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm feeling so good about it, Tim. This is amazing, man. I'm just feeling so good, and I'm looking at the lineup that we've got, and I mean, there's a lot of great poets, a lot of great artists. I mean, it's like I said, it is usually a very special occasion that's very rare when you get all of these different artists and poets together, just because it's a lot of logistics. Like you said, it's like, you know, you know, but now everybody is in their perfect space, you know. That's a beautiful thing. You know, the coffee is exactly the way you want it to taste. And,
right. Well, you know, as we've gotten older and crankier, we're like, I ain't leaving the house for less than $100. Well, now you don't got to leave the house. You still get to
Well, but it's going to be interesting, though. I will say, though, in the virtual world, you don't get things like random happenings, which is one of the things that's very distinctive in the coffee house culture. Is just random happenings. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes a little indifferent, but random happenings. You know, whether it's a guy that just comes in from some faraway place that recites a poem that is just knocks everybody off their feet, or if it's just some rude guy that is just extravagant. You know, sometimes people have capes when they're extravagant at the coffee house. You know.
Well, I don't know. I think that with this interactivity, we might be able to get that. You know, when we try an event that's not as scheduled and full, we can open up to more free form kind of thing. Get that little spontaneity happening.
Oh,
You know, I think there's a lot. I'm waiting for somebody to take the technology and transform our little hostage box into an avatar that can move around.
I've always wondered about that, you know, just because it's like that's the one thing that we don't have. Like all the technology of avatars and social avatars that go out there, there isn't a poet avatar, not yet. Hopefully one day. I'm just saying, poet avatar would be absolutely a poet in every home. You know, again,
Yeah.
like a Monty Python sketch. A poet in every home is what we really do need. You know.
Well, knowing poets, it's going to have to be more than one avatar because we'll never agree on anything.
Well, the avatar just has to go randomly. Within every other week, it does a different repertoire of poetry, sometimes in traditional dress, sometimes in contemporary dress, but that's only based on the number of words you give that avatar to give the number of poems that it can produce.
All right. Well, great. I mean, you can see where we're going with this. So I would start things off, if this were the club, by doing a poem. So I think I'm going to dip back into that tradition, and I will start things the way I believe they should be started, and that is with dessert. So it's chocolate. It's the heart of chocolate. Cheesecake, mousse, cookie and pie, homemade hot fudge, thick and creamy, dribbling over the melting Haagen-Dazs. Oh, chocolate thing. Take us into the heart of chocolate, where the calories are natural and don't amount to much if you count by threes. Swiss and Belgium, Lindor and Lent, chipped from 50-pound blocks into chunks wrapped in cookie dough, baked and served warm. Only one bite takes us into the heart of chocolate. So, we are officially underway with the entertainment portion of the show. I believe the next thing we need to do is to hear an actual song from my good friend Flemons.
All right. Well, poets and songwriters and all you old Vienna Coffeehaus alumni, old and new, thank you all so much for having me on the program. You know, I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person when it comes to the performing, and I'm hoping that I'll be around so that I can comment with you on the comment section. But either way, I am so glad to be a part of this celebration. I'm so glad that Tim and I are able to celebrate our birthdays together. Every single year we call each other just because we're birthday brothers, and that's along with my old tour manager, Jimmy Ryan, who runs Five Head Entertainment, and also Robert Crumb, R. Crumb, the famous underground cartoonist, also has the same birthday, so we're also celebrating it. And if I want to throw a random 830 Club member in, I believe Cameron Diaz is in the 830 Club. She can't be with us this time around, folks, but hey, you know, that's how it rolls. But this last one here, just to jump gears, this is another one I wrote for my Black Cowboys album. And this is one I wrote about the first African-American U.S. Marshal of the United States west of the Mississippi, a fellow by the name of Bass Reeves. And what drew me into his story was that he is said to be the historical precedent for the fictional character, the Lone Ranger. And so the suggestion of something like that drew me in. But once I got past the initial Lone Ranger conversation, because there's a lot of theories about how Bass Reeves and the Lone Ranger are connected, but the thing that was taking the Lone Ranger completely out of the situation, Bass Reeves is a dynamic and a completely fascinating character of the Old West. He traveled more or less alone, and he traveled through the Native American territories, the Indian territories in the old days, and he was just a freelancer that was hired by Judge Isaac Parker to find folks that were doing various various things on the range. And so he brought, I believe, about 2,000 people to justice, and he only received one bullet wound in his life from all of those arrests that he had. And being a man who could not read or write, he was said to also have had a perfect photographic memory, so that if he were to see a particular landscape, he would paint it, and then he'd throw the paper away, and then he could remember all of the nooks and crannies of every landscape for the rest of his life. The story that I'm going to tell through my song, He's a Lone Ranger, talks about the time when Bass's slave master actually had him in a card game, and being one of the few men on the plantation at that time, Bass was playing cards because the master didn't have anybody else to play cards with him. So over time, Bass got very good at it. And one night, the master lost all of his money to Bass, and in a last-ditch effort, he told Bass that he would put Bass and his mother's freedom up for collateral on the next hand. And then the master cheated on that hand. Bass found out, and then apparently he just leaned over and just gave him a good, cold cocked and bam, right in the face, knocked him out, but then realized what he had done, so he jumped on a horse, got off the plantation, and lived on the Cherokee Nation for about 15 years. And so he was also known for being a great tracker and knew the native languages and the ways of the people in the Cherokee Nation. So it's a very fascinating story besides just the Lone Ranger part. But when I thought about how I would put it in a musical setting after I'd written the original poem, I thought about Lightning Hopkins and a lot of the early Texas blues songsters, and so I thought that would be the best musical background for this song. So here's a little bit of He's a Lone Ranger, the story of Bass Reeves. Now he's the U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name. There was a man way out west, rode around this country with a star on his breast. Every white man and Indian tribe, he was the baddest man that ever was alive. He's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name. Broad-shouldered and 6 feet tall, rode a sword like an outrun them all. Master of a pistol, master of disguise, he looked every man he called now dead in the eyes. 'Cause he's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name. Born a slave down in Arkansas, lived with his master and his dear old mom. Mama said, son, you ain't free, but you do anything you want, though if the mister don't see. Now he's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name. Master called Bass Reeves to a gambling game. Bass's freedom was the stake that he made. Master cheated. You ought to heard the sound of Bass's hoof beats as Master hit the ground. Now he's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name. Go!
Bass Reeves, break into song. Get down to business and it won't be long. Within Muskogee, 100 miles around. They call Bass Reeves, he's bound to track you down. Cause he's a U.S. Marshal and a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Ranger, Bass Reeves is his name.
Okay, thank you, Dom. And we're going to be hearing more from Dom Flemons later. But now it's time for us to take a little trip down memory lane back to the old Vienna Coffeehouse. I want to bring up a fellow who really helped us document and maintain our memories. Let's welcome Chris Yeager, please. Hey, Chris.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Tim. Great to be here. Great to see everybody here in the backstage area. Now I know I'm out facing the audience, so hi out there too.
Yeah, and Chris, so you really kind of made it a practice to bring a camera over the open mics and the shows.
I was in the right place at the right time for once in my life to do something like that. I mean, I came from New York City. I'd been a hippie out in New Mexico. I'd gone to school out there at UNM, and then I did the 80s in Austin, and then I taught English in Japan for a couple of years, and then I washed up on shore in Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts and found my way to the old Vienna Coffeehouse in around 1990. So when Robert asked me, you know, when I'd play a couple of tunes, he'd say, "Where are you from?" It was like his eyes would glaze over at the answer, you know, right? So it was impossible to answer. But one of the things I picked up on the way was an urge to take pictures. I was at University of New Mexico with a famous guy who was teaching a history of photography class there, Beaumont Newhall, who was actually from Lynn, for your information, Don. And every time I think about him, well, what can I say, right? So I had all this history rattling around in my head, and I wanted to apply some of it. And here was a great opportunity to photograph performers every night. I lived across the street from the old Vienna, so I would take my 2 or 3 rolls of film up to my little pad, know anybody. I'd just gotten into town and, you know, was living by myself up there and was doing my photographs, listening to Chris Lydon or some other, or later on people's CDs when I was working on their pictures. And learning how to do this black and white photography thing. So it was a great time for me, early 90s. And I was really so happy to have this archive here. And I'm hoping some young museum curator student will come and take it over with me and help me, you know, catalog it and
well, great.
write it all out.
You put together a few years ago a very nice little piece, and I think that we need to take a look at it now. So, Mark,
That's the deal.
put us up and send us down memory lane.
Yeah, this is the open micers. Really, not many famous names here. It's the audience. It's the open micers. So, you want to go for it?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Well, that was a great treat, Chris. Nice walk down memory lane.
Thank you.
A little later on, Chris and the rest of the artists are going to be going over into the audience, and we've got a little signing table, which you guys can go through the chat over there if you want to go reminisce. We've got an archives table that you can really tell some old Vienna stories. So just keep that in mind, that that's available to you. And one of the best things about doing the old Vienna was getting to mix and match and introduce people and just kind of make some spontaneous things happen. And I think we're going to hear about one of those experiences right now. So we're going to hear from Christine Lavin here.
Okay. First time I played at the old Vienna was when, I think it was my first time, but it's the time I remember above all other club dates ever, was because Don White was opening. And I didn't know him, and Tim Mason put us together, and I thought, well, I'm sure that he's got to be interesting, that somebody thought we would be a good combination. And I remember backstage, Don asked something about, could he use the dressing room? I said, of course, because one dressing room, and turned out that was a first for him, that somebody who's on the bill with him would let him use the dressing room. I couldn't believe it. Like, how could people be so rude or mean to not let the opener? And then I said to him, I hear you're really good, because Tim had told me, this guy's really funny. So I said, could you do me a song backstage? And Don looked kind of shy. And then he said, I really can't, I can't just turn it on without having an audience. And I was like, what? I mean, not that I'm any big deal, but I was the headliner, and I'm asking the opening act to do me a song before he goes on stage, and he won't do it. And I thought, either this guy is crazy or he's really serious about performing and really does need an audience for it. So he was so worried that he was offending me by turning me down to do a song backstage. But I'm from a big family. I'm used to a lot of different kinds of people. So Don goes on. Place is packed, and I'm watching from the wings, from the doorway, I think, and I just had never seen anybody like him before. I just thought, who is this guy? And he was so funny, and he was so confident, and he was so not afraid of silence, which, most performers are. I know I still am. And he was so great, and the audience loved him so much that it was the first time before or since. It's the only time in my whole entire career. I've been doing this. I'm working on my 25th record. So I've been doing this 20th solo record. I've done 10 compilations, that I started my show with a ballad, which I had never, ever done. But because the audience was so laughed out, I thought, I cannot compete with that. I have to work back up to that, but I can't start there because he had them up here and at my funniest, I'm like, and so, I went, did the show, everything was fine. And it turned out, that as the years go by and Don and I, we run into each other, and then he gets this idea of us working together. And I said, the only way I will ever work with you again is if I go first. I don't care how many records I have. I don't care if people know me and they don't know you. I cannot follow you. I just knew that because, there was one time where I did, again, it was down at the Birchmere, and it was just a disaster because he is that powerful a performer. And I always tell other performers, you should never worry whether you go first, you go second, and where you are in the order, because when you get up there, you do your best with what you've got. But if you're on the bill with someone like Don White, I pity you. I pity the fool who thinks they want Don White to go ahead of them. You do not. Not if you value your life and your career. So, that's all I got to say. Thank you, Tim Mason, for teaching me, for smacking me upside the head with Don White.
That's great, Christine. Thank you.
Is Don here? Did he hear that?
Yeah, I'm not buying any of that.
Okay. So, Don White, what do you think of that? Do you remember opening for Christine or anything else from the club? Let me know what you think, man.
I definitely remember that very well. I was so intimidated by her. It was really something, and it was she took 10 of my CDs, and the next thing I know, I'm in New York and on Vince Gelser's program and playing at the Bottom Line. It's like she did a lot. She did more for me in a couple of weeks than I did for myself in the 5 years before that. It was pretty remarkable. But that's one of the things I loved about the OVN, and that I think about it is that you, Tim Mason, were always at the open mic, and that it was kind of like the minor leagues. You were always looking at who was getting good enough at the open mic that might be able to open and build their audience off of a headliner. And I just, I benefited tremendously from that because I wound up opening for a lot of people, and it was always a good placement. It was always somebody that I was, good with and all that, and I was able to sort of build my audience up from other people's audiences, and I'm not sure that's not a common thing, these days or any days. It was something that you made happen. You were really interested in cultivating artists, and I think a lot of people that we're going to see during the evening tonight will have benefited from that. I certainly have.
Well, that was part of what I was looking to do, was a continuum. And being a small club, your career is supposed to grow, and you're supposed to outgrow the club. But that means I still have to have somebody to come up to fill the house. So I needed to have this food chain going on. And it worked out well.
I think about all the people now, and now you have all this time to look at how that all unfolded, and it looks good from here. It looks, we're all grateful to have been there during those times.
Well, I'm really honored to have been able to be part of making that happen. And you want to do a song for us, Don?
Yeah, I do. One of the things that I'm really happy about is that there's going to be a lot of nostalgia here today, of course, and I'm glad about that. But one of the things that Tim is doing here is taking the template and trying to build something now that is going to be just as useful to people starting now as it was for people in our time. The Vienna was right for our time back then, and hopefully moving forward, there's somebody who's 20 years old now, and will be able to benefit the way that we did from what comes from this. So I think that's really cool, Tim, and thanks a lot for that. Jenny's grandma went to Woodstock in 1969. She keeps her ticket stub and a chunk of mud at her house in a little shrine. She was always the girl in the hippie dress twirling at the shows by the Grateful Dead. If you ask her about it, man, you better sit down. Grandma will talk the ears right off your head. If you get her talking about the Grateful Dead, Summer of Love or the Kool-Aid acid test. Jenny was always in her glory when she could hear the stories from her grandma's hippie friends about peace and love, taking care of one another, how great it all was back then. And at night she would dream of being on the bus with Keezy, seeing Jimmy in 69. But when she wasn't dreaming, she always had the feeling that somehow she'd been born in the wrong time. You know, you should have been 20 in 1969. But the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are living on the beach in Montezuma, Costa Rica, having all kinds of fun singing. There's only 1 minute if you're not living in it, it's never coming back again. Love your grandma, but Baba Ram Dass never said be there then. It's gonna take a big leap of faith if you really want to find your tribe. Those were the first words Jenny heard in a song that she found online. And that summer she drove all the way to Minnesota to the Shangri-La Festival. There they all were, all the people like her, who grew up believing that they were all alone. They said, hey girl, welcome home. Because the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are driving down the road all the way to Minnesota, having all kinds of fun singing. Jimmy and Jerry are dead and buried and they're never coming back again. I love you, Grandma, but Baba Ram Dass never said be there then. Jenny's grandma went to Woodstock in 1969. Since then she believed there was never gonna be a better time, and that's alright. But if you don't take a big leap of faith and get out there and find your scene, it will pass you by while you are trying to find your grandma's long gone Woodstock memories. Her Woodstock memories. While the cool grandchildren of the cool young women who danced in the Woodstock mud are living on the beach in Montezuma, Costa Rica, having all kinds of fun singing. There's only 1 minute, if you're not living in it, it's never coming back again. Love your grandma, but Baba Ram Dass never said be there then.
Great. Well, thank you, Don White. And Don might be joining people in the audience at some point this evening, but it was wonderful to hear you. And now I believe that we might as well bring up another Old Vienna alumni, Miss Christine Lavin. How are you doing, Christine?
Hey, Tim. Good. And I've been knitting this whole time, actually sometimes knitting and sometimes reading this book. But the knitting is better because if anybody watching ever sees me perform live again, we hope that's going to happen. I'll be wearing this. And you come up and you hug me because I knitted this row while watching this show.
Well, that's perfect. It was always a treat when you decided to come join us at the old Vienna. Do you have any besides getting sideswiped by Don White? Anything else from that era? I remember you.
I have a really deep question that I've been wondering about for the longest time. There is a record called the Old Vienna Tapes. I think that's what it is. And there's a song on it that I've played a number of times as a guest DJ because I think it's one of the best, worst songs ever written in the English language. It's called Bowling Ghost.
Bowling Ghost, yes. That was a project we did, the Old Vienna Tapes. We recorded from our open mics. And Bowling Ghost, so we worked with, for volume 2, we worked with Fast Folk Musical Magazine, and it got published through Fast Folk. And Bowling Ghost was from a fellow from the woods of Holden, Massachusetts, named Stanley Mattis. And Stanley was a force of nature.
I love that song. And I was just wondering about the songwriter. And did anybody ever cover it? Is it like one of the legendary songs that the old Vienna crowd always talk about with great reverence?
Well, Stanley certainly, Bowling Ghost was certainly memorable. He had an epic about New Jersey, about paving it over. But I used to try to set up like songwriter versus songwriter shows. So I might have Mike Duffy versus Stanley Mattis and see who could top each other kind of thing.
Well, if there's anybody listening and watching who's never heard Bowling Ghost, seek it out because it's really one of those memorable, indelible songs that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
And that's on the Old Vienna Tapes, Volume 2. It's Fast Folk Musical Magazine props. Smithsonian has it. And yeah, what you guys were doing down in New York at that same time was pretty inspiring up in Boston.
Yeah, well, I was so glad when you guys came on board because, Boston was always the most important city for Fast Folk because all of the people who emerged as stars from Fast Folk got airplay in Boston before they got airplay in New York because of WUMB, WERS, WBUR, Suzanne Vega, Sean Colvin, Lucie Kaplansky, Lyle Lovett, Nancy Griffith.
We're going to be bringing Robert Haig up shortly. Robert helped me at the Vienna, but he was at WERS and was largely responsible for some of that. We'll be hearing from Robert in a minute, but I think you've prepared a song for us. I think maybe we should hear a little bit of your musical talents. Before we do that, what is this I hear about Hooterville?
Oh, my new record's coming out next Friday. It's called On My Way to Hooterville. I never actually get to Hooterville, but I'm on my way there. And you could substitute the word heaven for Hooterville because we're all on a journey going somewhere.
Well, I remember seeing it from Petticoat Junction, and that looked like heaven to me when I was a kid.
I don't know why I came up with that title. Sometimes you just do that. It's just one of those things.
All righty. Well, let's hear Christine's song.
Back in 1975, I was a waitress and a bread baker at the Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs when Lena figured out through some very sophisticated sleuthing where Bob Dylan and his cohorts were rehearsing for the Rolling Thunder Revue, and she wanted them to come and play the cafe, so we drove all night and caught up with them at the Seacrest Motel in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and we got to be part of the entourage for the first week of the tour, and I got to be one of the drivers, and Bob Dylan said, just follow the buses. That's what we did. It was very hush-hush. There was no paperwork. We just had to follow the buses. And so I got to see the show 3 times and stay in the hotels that they were staying in afterwards and kind of, hanging out with some of them and watching the jams at the bar. And I ended up writing a song about one of the performers who was very good in the show and very much deserved to be there. But I never said his name in the song, and I just re-recorded it for an album that's coming out next week, 45 years after I wrote it. And I wanted to give it more of a melancholy tinge. And I'm glad that I never said the name of the songwriter who's it's about, because I feel like there's a lot of contemporary singer-songwriters, the guys, the dudes, who still kind of carry this mantle. Here we go. Alone on the stage, you're a cowboy in lights, charming the audience night after night. They clap their hands for you, they all wish you well. They go home to families, you go home to hotels. Well, there's cranky bartenders, old chambermaids, young waitresses, all underpaid. Some treat you with contempt, some with respect. Their faces stay with you, their names you forget. You're a rambler, singer of songs women don't understand and don't wait for you long. Now you gotta keep moving, traveling on. The road's calling you. You wish you were gone. Some call you a rambler, some call you a rogue. Some think you're a gambler, some think you're a joke. If I knew you better, I might not agree, but all I know of you is what I can see. With guitar in your hand and that light in your eyes, you come on so strong, you appear to be wise. But when it's all over, you've nothing to do but sit in some bar room and down quite a few. You're a rambler, a singer of songs women don't understand and don't stay with you for very long. Now you gotta keep moving, traveling on. The road's calling you. You wish you were gone. Oh, you're tired of the East Coast. You long for the West, where the sun always shines, the beer tastes the best. But you need what you're getting up there on the stage, and you like making more than a working man's wage. So you're trapped in the music that you do so well. You're trapped in the comforts of fancy hotels. It's nothing you've said, I just think I can tell. If you had your way, you'd be gone. You're a rambler, a singer of songs women don't understand and don't love you for very long. Now you gotta keep moving, traveling on. The road's calling you. You wish you were gone. Now you gotta keep moving, traveling on. The road's calling you. Now you're gone.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine Lavin. Now, how's it going out there in the audience? You getting the best of the interactivity going on? Just please do communicate with your host and your ushers over there. Use the little chat button. As the artist leaves the stage and go into the house, we will let you know through the chat that they're available. And if you want to go get a virtual autograph, the signing table's up. If you're seeing people in your other little hostage videos and you want to catch up, do the chat, flag a host. We got the smoking room, we got the balcony, we got the library. We'll give you a chance to step out and catch up live and in person, and then come back to the main house whenever you want to. But at this point, I need to one, stop talking, and two, bring up a fellow that was the first person I drafted to help me with the running the old Vienna, and that was Robert Haig, who had been a DJ at WERS, and among many other things, Robert really helped define what we did with the open mics. And just so that you know it's not me making this up, I want to hear, we've got a little piece from somebody who participated in it. So right at the moment, we're going to hear from Chris Chandler.
Hey, Chris Chandler here. You know, I used to say that I was proud to have been a part of the folk music scene of the late 80s and early 90s in Boston, which I like to think of as the great folk music scare. But then I realized, no, I am lucky. I showed up in the late 80s in Harvard Square as a street musician, and like most street musicians, was really aspiring to play on a stage, so we'd all jockey for position at the various open mics, of which there are a lot of open mics. But the linchpin of them all was unquestionably the old Vienna. Now, you had to drive a ways to get there, but that meant you had to mean it. And they always had these incredible features, and you can bet your delicious derriere that every one of them open micers wanted to be that feature. But as far as the show itself goes, for me, the thing that really held it together was this guy named Robert Haig. I don't know, he was a DJ or a writer or something, but he seemed to know everything. He'd make these introductions like, the last time this performer graced our stage, she sang a song about her grandmother, and let me tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. At the break, people lined up to buy her cassette called Blah, 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 and I think she's working on a new project called Blah, Blah, Blah. I sure hope she plays some of the new material, because I know I want to hear it. She has a show at the Middle East on Tuesday, July the 2nd. How did he know this stuff? How did he remember it? He did not interview us. He just knew it, and he said it, and he made us feel so important that we played our best. And by playing our best, we formed this camaraderie with other people who were playing their best. And that camaraderie was the cornerstone of that great folk music scene of the late 80s and early 90s in Boston, of which I am proud, no, lucky to have been a part of. And don't get me wrong, I've been to the 7-Eleven and back. I've lived in places like San Francisco and Vancouver and New Orleans and even Austin, and been a part of their music scene, but I ain't seen nothing like it. I could name you a dozen performers that are still making their living 30 years later. That in of itself is pretty doggone impressive. So here's to you, Robert Haig, the way you made us feel important and the contributions that you made to create this folk music scene that's still going today. Thank you, old Vienna.
Well, now it's time for me to turn the driver's seat over to Robert Haig. But first, Robert, couldn't have done the old Vienna without you. Drafted you out from behind your DJ's chair at WERS. You know, it was a real pleasure to get you there. So why don't you come up, say a few words, and then I'm going to let you do what you do best and MC a little section here. So it's a pleasure to reintroduce Robert Haig.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, everybody. Wow, that video, Chris Chandler. A little embarrassed and kind of a lot humbled. That's a pretty nice little couple of words there. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was telling my wife this evening the story of how I wound up at the old Vienna, and I told him 3 times I didn't want to work there. He tried very hard to get me to come work there, and I was studying television, not radio, and was pretty well convinced that wasn't where I wanted to go. And what a loss of a big part of a special part of my life that would have been if I had not let him convince me that that's where I needed to be, because that was absolutely the right place to be for those 8 or 10 years. I remember the first open mic, and I especially remember the last one. It was the day after my father died, and some of you saw that story recently on Facebook. My dad gave me all the memories of Facebook, and that's where there are all the memories of folk music that I shared recently on that Facebook post. And day after he died, I was there closing up the last open mic at the old Vienna, and that was exactly the right place to be too. Hey, listen, I don't want to talk about me. That's not what this is all about. We have Barbara Kessler going to be joining us here right now. I remember Barbara from the earliest days at the old Vienna as well, and I remember I think I sent some of your music, Barbara, off to Sean Colvin's recording engineer, and was trying to get him to convince him that you were the next best thing. It's great to see you again. It's been a couple of years. How are you doing?
Hey, Robert, thank you. Wow. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. You know, it's funny. I'm looking at the back of your studio there. I haven't seen your studio, and I'm sitting here remembering that you went to Berkeley, and I remember somewhere Cornell, and there it is right in the back of here. Just to remind us all.
Phil went to Berkeley, my husband Phil. I went to Cornell, and my daughter went to Berkeley too. She graduated.
Your daughter's got quite a career going right now.
She's got a lot of followers and plays on Spotify, because that's what the kids do these days.
That's really fantastic. I've missed the last 7 or 8 years of your career. What have you been doing recently? And tell me how you remember coming to the old Vienna the first time.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you. I just wanted to say hi to everybody. This is such a treat to listen and hear stories and reminisce. I actually live in Hopkinton now, Robert. So Phil and I were joking, like we should have set my computer up in front of the storefront that used to be old Vienna and done it live from Westboro tonight. But I basically stopped touring and doing anything like that after my second was born. And then I put out my last album in 2012. So basically I've been just teaching my studio. I got the Ellis Paul core chart over there, which is an adorable little thing I bought at a gig that he did not too long ago here in our town, which was really cool. So I've been really lucky to kind of mentor the next generation. Don White used to always talk about that. You know, it's our job to pass the torch to the next group coming along. And, you know, it's fun. I teach anywhere from little kids on ukulele to grown-ups who never got to play guitar to young people writing songs. So.
Well, I seem to recall that your very first CD, released in 93, 94, wound up winning a Boston Music Award. So why don't we hear a little bit of Barbara Kessler right here.
Thank you.
On Facebook.
That'd be my pleasure. This is a song called Angels Are Crying, with an updated verse in the middle. Of my day job, I could see he was not right. The bitten nails, the broken skin, I did not know what to say to him, already slipping from my sight. And I felt his burden, still I turned from him. Why just shy away? And angels are crying for us. No, it should not. can hear her screaming from the next apartment. Though the child is only 3. Oh, why can't you see? I'm ready to go over and leave my judgment on her. When it's empathy she needs, oh, can I see she's a mother whose mother and whose mother's mother never knew better. And angels crying for us. No, it should not be this hard to love. Oh, why can't I take that leap across the hallway between you and me? Yeah. Is there something that I should say, or is there mercy in turning away? Now lately I don't see you, though we live under the same roof and sleep half a king-sized bed away. I miss you and I hate you and I don't know what to make of all these things. There's never time to say. Angels are crying for us. No, it should not be this hard to love. Oh, why can't I take that leap across the chasm between you and me? Angels are crying. Oh, angels are crying for us. Angels are crying.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. It's great to hear that voice again. Barbara Kessler, good to see you as well. You stay in our sights and put out another album sometime so we can all share some more of that. Barbara Kessler, everybody. Nice job. Hey, you know what? This guy's next. You see that? Oh, wait a minute. I can't do that. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. It's Jim Infantino. He's on this. Look, this is the first year his album came out, and he is performing at the old Vienna Flyer thing back in '93, the same year Strawman came out. Jim, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Haig.
Wow,
Good
it
to
has
see
been a long time, dude.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. You know what? I was looking at your website a little while ago earlier today. I didn't know about the books things. Tell me about the books you got.
Well, it just happened. I had so I just sail from inspiration to inspiration, and then one day I got a really big inspiration and it didn't fit in a song, and I realized very slowly over time I was going to have to write a novel. So I wrote my first one, and now I'm writing my second one in a trilogy of novels. It's science fiction, and it's about as weird as all my songs, maybe a little weirder. And it's called The Wakeful Wanderer's Guide to New England and Beyond. So there's a whole New England theme to it as well.
So is this out? Is this available?
Yeah, the first one is the first book, and the next book I think is going to be called The Wakeful Wanderer's Guide to Disillusionment. And then I don't know what the third one's going to be called. I haven't started writing that yet. I'm almost done with the second book.
Gee, it's too bad you don't have anything happening in the world that could serve as fodder for your writing.
No, there's nothing that really inspires me right now or enrages me.
I would think you might have to go back and rewrite a couple of passages from Stress to today's news.
Well, a couple of people have asked me to rewrite Desperate Times.
Yes,
it is still kind of like like the original song a little bit, so I haven't really done that.
Give me a brief thing. You got about 30 seconds here. Are you still doing the Jim's Big Ego and solo stuff as well?
Well, since the pandemic apocalypse, we haven't been able to get together and play. And that's actually the saddest thing about this entire COVID thing for me, is that I can't jam with a band. I still do Saturday shows online, sort of like this. You can find out on my website, Big Ego and Jim Infantino.
That's great. Well, folks, I want to encourage you to go visit Jim's website and check out where he's doing some of these live online concerts, because you'll have a blast. And right now, we're going to get a big taste of his music right here from Mr. Jim's Big Ego, Mr. Jim Infantino.
Thank you, Robert. So this is a tune I've been playing a lot on my Saturday shows. I don't know why, but it's about it's inspired by David Wilcox's son, Nathan, and when I was staying with him down in North Carolina a long time ago, Nathan was a baby, and he fell down, and before he could kind of start crying or react badly, David said something like, "Oh, you know, Nato, just check out the floor there, man. The floor looks good," because David is relentlessly positive. I mention this because I met him at the old Vienna, and after he blew my mind with his playing and his songwriting. And I said, of course, in my typical negative New York way, I said, yeah, can't fall down from there. And David turned to me and said, "Oh, write that." Gonna fly, gonna lie down the... Let me start again. Gonna lie down on the kitchen floor. I can't fall down from here. That's what gravity is for. And I'm not gonna think at all. I can't fall down from here. I didn't fall. And you can't lie to me again. Oh, but you can't let me down. I've got nowhere else to go. My head is on the ground. Got my cheek on the cold tile. I can't fall down from here. I stay like this a while and listen to the underground. No, I can't fall down. And you can't lie to me again. Oh, but you can't let me down. I've got nowhere else to go. My head is on the ground. And you can say you'll be my friend. It don't mean anything at all. I don't need a hand up. Don't lie, I didn't fall. Up there's the bottom of the shelf. I can't fall down from here. I don't understand myself. It's like when I was 3. I can't fall down from here. The underside of things I see. And you can't lie to me again. Oh, but you can't let me down. I've got nowhere else to go. My head is on the ground. And you can say you'll be my friend. It don't mean anything at all. I don't need a hand up. Don't lie, I didn't fall. Just lay down is all. Gonna lie down on the kitchen floor. I can't fall down from here. I can't fall down from here. I can't
Jim Infantino and the strength of that songwriting that we all remember so well. Very nicely done in that song. Man, it's good to see you.
So good to see you too.
Let's all figure out as soon as this vaccine winds up joining us that we all figure out a way to get together and have an end construction reunion and have a bunch of people in real audience and see you guys again. Jim, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Robert.
You know, I've got all these old flyers sticking around here, and it's kind of funny because I'm looking at this one that I have here now. Here's John Svetke down here. You can't see him, but backstage in the backstage area, this guy right over here is Brian Dozier. He taught me how to do audio in Emerson College when I was going there, and I thank him for that publicly here because a lot of what I did in my career, both today and back then, couldn't have been done without what you and the folks at WERS and at Emerson College gave me. And I'm greatly, I can't even express a word. So it's been a part of my life. And, you know, in construction, Ellis Paul, he's joining us on this line here somewhere. Mr. Paul, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Rob. It's so great to see you.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. It's where I live now.
Yeah.
And, good to see my old friend Jim do a song.
You're from
sounds great.
You're from Maine originally. How did you wind up down Massachusetts way doing these open mics?
Oh, you know, I went to college at BC and then eventually, you know, started hitting all the open mics after college. And as you know, the old Vienna was the Taj Mahal of open mics. I would say in the whole country, really. And then I met Brian Dozier and John Svetke, Jim Infantino. And we started creating a little tribe, going around to all of them, and then got to know people like Barb Kessler and all these other folks that you're having on the air right now, and got to meet you and Tim, and you guys had an incredible impact on my life. Forever grateful.
Here you are. This is you and this flyer that I got right here. You're surrounded by Jonathan Edwards and Derek Trucks and Jeffrey Gaines, Stark Raven Chandler's in here, Freddie White, Cozy Sheridan, Brooks Williams, Vance Gilbert, and a whole bunch of other people all right around your feature. That's going back to 96. It's probably getting towards one of the last ones. Your career has had a whole bunch of awards. I mean, like what, 14 or 16 Boston Music Awards or something in there?
There's a few in there. We have no Grammys, but we have like all the Boston Music Awards you could ever. I'm looking at them right now. I have them up on a shelf. It's nice. It's a good reminder.
The green is very nice too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, this is my daughter's room.
I'm guessing she's either learning to play or you're forcing it on her, right?
Yeah, this is also my recording studio in her closet, so it's a balance, trust me.
That's fantastic.
Hey, I do have something I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
I don't know how this ended up in my possession. I think I stole it. But this.
I was about to bring up Woody and Bill, and you beat me to it, man. Tell everybody a little bit about those two influences on your life.
Well, Bill Morrissey, who was sort of like the local, you know, real guy in Boston, like that we could all touch. This is somebody who is not only a brilliant songwriter, but he lived in the neighborhood. It was like having Van Gogh in your neighborhood, you know, and we could sit with him, drink beers with him, pick his brain, listen to his advice and jokes. And he had a remarkable impact on me, produced my first album, and basically downloaded all of his, you know, knowledge that he wanted to share with me. It really affected me because I was, you know, in my early mid-20s, and he had a profound effect on me, and he had a major impact on leading me to Woody Guthrie as well. And since those days, I go to Okima almost every year to play the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival, and
you still have the Woody tattoo, yes?
I do. It's underneath the old shoulder here, somewhere tied in there. It's fading. It's not pretty to look at now.
I'll do a little show and tell with you. This thing, I don't know if you saw this recently. I found a cassette downstairs, and it's dated 5/16/88. This is Bill Morrissey playing at Payne Hall with Stan Rogers about 10 days before Stan died.
Wow.
And The Small
Amazing.
Town on the River that he did on this is so phenomenal. I've got it in my recording studio, and I'm kind of putting some photos, old historical photos to it. So we'll see how that comes out. Hey, listen, I want to hear you play some music, man. It's been way too many years, and let's get you tuned up and ready to go.
I think I'm here. Ain't no Jesus, never saved a soul, never walked on water, except ice and snow. There's a rumor in the choir, I'm just the luckiest guy they know. But I ain't no Jesus, never saved a soul. No Buddha, oh, I struggle with wrong from right. I ain't no Prince of Peace, I've hit the floor in a good bar fight. I'll ask forgiveness come Sunday, asking for trouble Saturday night. But I ain't no Buddha, I struggle with the wrong from right. No, I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle I've seen is you walking down the aisle with me. No, I can't talk to God, I ain't divine. Only miracle I've seen is I can call you mine. I ain't no carpenter, I'm more sailor than saint. I'll put a hammer on a thumbnail, swear so loud they close heaven's gates. But I built you a four-post bed now, darling, don't make me wait. I ain't no carpenter, I'm more sailor than saint. No, I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle I've seen is you walking down the aisle with me. No, I can't talk to God, I ain't divine. The only miracle I've seen is I can call you mine. Losing my ears. Ain't no savior, ain't got the words. How do you preach to the masses when you can't even talk to the girl? You get a little courage from holy wine, but then your speech gets slurred. I ain't no savior, I ain't got the words. No, I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle I've seen is you walking down the aisle with me. No, I can't talk to God, I ain't divine. Only miracle I've seen is I can call you mine. The only miracle that I've seen is I can call you mine. Oh, mine, I can call you mine. Oh, mine.
of the most indelible impressions that I remember from the old Vienna Kaffeehaus would be the late night, low attendance, end of the evening, maybe snow falling outside, and everybody in the room just mesmerized by you playing. And man, right there, I'm right there right now.
Oh, me too with you, brother. Thank you so much for all you've done for all of us, and Tim as well. You guys are, we wouldn't be doing what we do without you guys. So thank you so much for that.
It's great to hear you again. I hope that all this changes pretty soon and we can get out of this electronic landscape and see each other in real life again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do a show, all of us. That'd be awesome.
Like it. That's Ellis Paul, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Tim, are you back with us here?
I am indeed, Robert. Thank you so much for hosting that section here. We're going to have you back, and you'll visit with a few other friends later on in the show.
Sounds good. I'll catch you a little bit later on.
Okay, great. And I should thank our sponsors. We have Five Foxes Spirits and New Mexico Harvest, both helping us make this thing possible. Our website, the 0830club.com, has links. You'll find information in the chat. Visit those kind of things. And again, a huge thanks to the artists that have been joining us. But at this stage, so Robert was kind of my right-hand guy, but the old Vienna really grew, and I had a left-hand guy. And he unfortunately departed a while ago. His name was Mike Duffy. And we've got a little bit of a tribute and a nod to Mike. And we're ready to go ahead and let's go visit with Mr. Duffy.
Tim, I could say a few things about Mike, I think.
Okay, go ahead, Don. Yes, please.
Mike Duffy gave me he saw me someplace and he invited me out to his house. And they had like a little open mic in his house. And he wanted Troy Tyree to see me because he thought he would give me a gig at Tatnick or some place, like a pass the hat gig, and I had no gigs or no anything. So I drove all the way out there, and I got I was in my work van from my day job, and I got a speeding ticket for $200. And I didn't make I went and I played, and Troy booked me, but I don't believe I made $200 in folk music for the next 2 years. I was 200 down at the beginning. But he was my pal. We were both, we just gravitated toward each other right away. And he was very kind to me through the years. And the last time I saw him, I had woke up in the morning and I had him on my mind. And I knew he was not feeling, I knew he was sick. And I didn't know even if he was alive, actually. So I called him and he picked the phone up. And he said he was quite sick, but if he rested for 3 or 4 days, he'd be able to go out. And Jack Williams was staying at his house. And the next day he was going to take Jack to the Cantab in Cambridge and play. So I went right from work and I hung around and I got to see Mike and catch up with old times and watch Jack set. And then Mike, I'm going to bet that this was the last time he ever played because I think he didn't live a lot longer than this. And for those of you that have never been to the Cantab, it's a bar. It's like 2 rooms. There's a room in front of you where people are listening, but then then on the side, it's the bar. And so your eyes are thinking you're in a quiet place, but your ears are thinking nobody's listening to you, right? So it's never quiet in there, hardly ever. Well, Mike got up and played, and as soon as he played, you know how he had that sort of E minor A thing? You just would rumble back and forth with it a lot. He sort of put this spell on the room, and the whole place was quiet. I've been in that room, countless times, and I never saw it. Like everyone at the bar turned around and looked at him. He just caught everyone's attention, and he played Camouflage, and he played it's another song, and then that song about the guys I work with, the fantastic song. And then Jeff got him to play another song, and he played that song about his daughter. I've been here, I've seen this, I've seen that, but I never seen nothing like you. And it was pin drop quiet in that place. And I was so glad that when I thought of him in the morning, that I called him and wound up going to see him, because I never saw him again after that. He's somebody that I loved a lot, and then he was good to me, good to everybody, and he liked trouble. He really liked trouble, so we kind of had that in common. And I miss him a lot, and I owe, he's one of the people that I brought into my life from the old Vienna. So I'm glad we're keeping his name alive here.
Absolutely. Mike Duffy is somebody that needs to be remembered. I have a couple of reminiscences about Mike that just sort of capture what he was for the old Vienna, besides being absolutely grounded. He was the most unflappable individual possible. We had one evening, we had a fairly famous diva type person that was complaining that we had run out of this particular brand of bottled water. And we had bought out all the bottled water from every convenience store in the area. Mike happened to just pick up a few of them bottles, walk by the tap, and present them back in the green room, and made everybody happy. But he also was running the show for me the night that I had Townes Van Zandt play the club. Now, Townes had fallen off the wagon in Alaska, and if you know anything about Townes Van Zandt, you know he was very good at falling off the wagon. And he had a handler with him. And just before showtime, I said, Mike, go on back. Tell Townes it's time to go on. Mike went into the green room and gave Mike his 5 minute, or Townes his 5 minutes warning. And he said, Townes, do you have any questions? Townes looked at him and said, do you have a plan in case I fall down? And without missing a beat, Mike looked at him and said, yes, Townes, I will lower the mic. And Townes thought about that for a moment and said, that'll work. But probably the most defining Mike Duffy story was the day that we just suspended the laws of physics. Do you remember the old Vienna? We had a very small room, little stage surrounded by wooden tables that seated 6 people. Now, those tables were wide. You had to be of a certain build to be able to fit comfortably in the seats. And I was looking at Mike and I said, Mike, we just really need to push the walls back 1 more foot. We'll have plenty of breathing room. And Mike surveyed the room and said, those tables are made out of wood. I said, yep, they are. And the next day, Mike brought a little circular saw in, and we took every single table up on stage and sawed 1 inch off of each side of the table, put it back in the room, and we had defied the laws of physics. We had 1 more foot of space in our room. So Duffy was the always go-to guy for getting stuff done. And I believe that we've got a little nod to Mike. I think it's time for us to hear from Mike Duffy.
We've walked on the moon and we've landed on Mars. And one night last June I was looking at the stars. And while I was gazing, I came up with a plan that's gonna make this world a better place for every woman and child and man. Everybody here tonight? You see, I'm gonna cash in all my empties and get myself some loot. Go out and rent a rocket ship and a navy blue spacesuit. When I blast off, I'll start the countdown at 7. When they get to 0, they can blast my ass into the heavens and I'll be on my way. after all these years. On my way to being rich and on my way to being famous for being the first guy from Earth who gets the chance to walk all over Uranus. I've read a lot of books and asked a whole bunch of questions. And Timothy Leary was kind enough to give me directions. He taught me everything he knows about this planetary mass, such as there ain't no air to breathe up there. All there is gas on Uranus. But I'm going anyway. And I'm gonna be rich and famous for being the first guy from Earth who gets the chance to walk all over Uranus. This ain't a pleasure trip I'm taking. I've got a lot of things to do. I'll have experiments to run, and I've got to photograph the view. And I'm taking my instruments, and I'm gonna have to inspect them. I hope that the impact of the touchdown hasn't wrecked them. I'm traveling light, just taking what I need. Extra hankies and brundos and maybe some to read. When I return, I'll be leaving soon, 'cause after I check out Uranus, I'm taking a crack at the moon. Yes, I am. And I'm gonna be rich and famous for being the first guy from Earth to go to the moon when he gets back from Uranus. Thank you.
Okay, that was Mike Duffy, and he needs to be remembered as often as possible. What a huge space he has left in the world. Now I think we'll bring up somebody you've heard of. He was part of this scene and really made it happen. Blends poetry, music, performance, theater, all sorts of things. It's my pleasure to bring up Chris Chandler.
Hey, Tim, how are you? Good to see you.
Very good, Chris. Where are you these days?
I am in Highland Park, New Jersey at the moment. I've been bouncing around between Highland Park, New Jersey and Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Well, great. Is that somewhat permanent? Or are you going to go head back to?
Yes, I'm staying here in New Jersey for the foreseeable future. I fell in love in New Jersey.
There's got to be a poem in that.
She's worth every minute of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good to hear, Chris. So do you have any thoughts? I mean, you were not only part of the old Vienna, you were part of the infamous hallway, the Naked City Coffee House, part of the early days of the Poetry Slam for us. Any reflections from all of that?
Well, I was lucky enough to find a foothold in Harvard Square. For some reason, I was traveling around. I was living in my car and was playing on the streets. And I think the people in Harvard Square had never heard anybody say anything with a Southern accent and say something intelligent. So it stopped them in their tracks. And there was a street musicians commune there called the High Dove Community, run by Tom Boland. And we, a whole bunch of street musicians probably paid $100 a month or whatever. We had about 14 people living in one apartment, and I was lucky enough to join onto that scene and lucky enough to get a hold of your scene. I can't tell you how much the professionalism at the old Vienna, it made us feel really important and that our work was important. And I really appreciate you bringing me down there.
Well, it was
having this reunion too, seeing all these people, seeing Jim Infantino and Ellis Paul and Barbara and you, and seeing the people in these tiny squares, it really brings back a lot of memories.
Well, good. That's what it's supposed to do, and it's supposed to inspire us to get things rolling again. I I think you prepared a piece for it.
Brandon asked if I could pre-record my piece, and that's what I did. So I did it down in Asbury Park.
Well, outstanding. I think it's time for us to hear some of Chris Chandler's verse.
I looked beyond the curvature of the earth, past the myriad of planets and stars, expanding and contracting just beyond the dust on my eyeglasses. And I called out to God himself. I said, God, I matter. And God responded. He said, why, yes. Yes, you are. At that point, I realized that I really am one with God. Only once you become one with God, do you then pray to yourself? God, I hope not. Because I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of rebel that on those rare moments when I find myself in charge of something, I feel the need to question my own authority. I find myself looking in the mirror saying, don't let me tell me what to do. And that's when it occurred to me that maybe that's what the Bible meant. When it said that we were all created in God's image, that God was just looking in the mirror and therefore did it all backwards. I mean, he made each and every one of us different, except for Tim Mason. It's all one big merry-go-round. Our lives, the seasons, they go round. We wave to our parents, and they wave back, and then they are gone. You see people on their high horse reaching for this brass ring that is just out of reach, and as it gets close, the horse goes down. The band has been replaced by a calliope that makes Entrance of the Gladiator sound just like Pop Goes the Weasel, and no one seems to mind. And when it's all over, we are right back where we started. And sometimes we dream. Sometimes we dream big, which is why I rolled over this morning and mashed the snooze button saying, I must keep the dream alive. But in the dream, there was traffic, lots of traffic. And on the other side of the road, there was this chicken taunting me saying, who are you to question my motives? And I started to cross the road, wondering if I was as indecisive as I used to be. And I found myself taunting back at the chicken saying, just because I changed my mind doesn't mean I'm not still right. And the chicken replied, to answer your question, it was the rooster that came first. And the reason that I did not cross the road was because I wanted to go down it. Going down the road feeling bad with a rubber chicken hanging from my rear view. Because I don't know about you, but I'd rather hang with people who are looking for answers rather than people who have found them. And whether or not I have found any answers, I'm not real sure, because I've been doing this for over 30 years, and at this point, having a bad memory is the only thing that gives me a clear conscience. And sometimes my conscience bothers me, but my conscience is just another voice in my head, like God. And just because I know the voices in my head aren't real doesn't mean I shouldn't listen to them. I mean, I listen to the news and I'm pretty sure that's not real. I mean, sure, God created the stars. But let me ask you, who created the constellations? Who sat in the prehistoric version of the old Vienna Kaffeehaus open mic and told stories? And as we audience members painted pictures in the sky, and someone saw that picture and painted it on a cave, and someone saw that picture and told another story, and every story paints 1,000 pictures, and every picture tells 1,000 stories. You do the math. Count the stars. And when you count the stars, the universe becomes totally abstract. And God becomes this giant Jackson Pollock. And he's up there randomly spilling paint, randomly throwing paint, drawing tight lines that point to an arrow that points to a truth that can be boiled down to a simple haiku. And Tim Mason is a poet. He deserves a haiku on his birthday. That haiku is, haiku are obscure, often hard to understand. Vocabulary. But there is a truth. And that truth is, the power of good is greater than the power of evil. Can I get an amen? Can I get a virtual amen? I'm going to say it again. The power of good is greater than the power of evil. Just not by very much. But the future can be predicted, my friends, because what is ahead of us, what is ahead of us depends solely upon what is inside us. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure performing for you this evening. My name's Chris Chandler.
Well, thank you, Chris Chandler. That was an inspiring piece. Very, very glad you shared that with us. And you really do set the stage for the spoken word aspect of what we do. Since my musical ability extends as far as playing the stereo, I've really was happy to share that space with you. And I've been able to take it forward performing-wise. And I've been able to work in a little project called the Trio of Poets with my very good friends, Jena Kirkpatrick and Regie Gibson. And they're here with us. And we'll have a little chat with you about what the trio is. And then we're going to give you a sample of what we're like on stage. So say hi, Regie and Jena. Jump in here. We're on.
Well, hello, Tim, and hey, Jena, how are you? Both of you. It's always good to be with you, even if I have to, see you in rectangles and in 2 dimensions. But it's still good to be here with both of you and everyone else. Thank you for tuning into this. Yeah, Trio of Poets is basically 3 very different types of poets who do different types of poetry, but we found ways to knit it together and to present it to multiple types of audiences, whether it is people in boys and girls clubs, which Jena can talk about, or whether it is on stage for folkies and for other musicians as acts that introduce people to what we hope is good lyrics and content with heart.
Absolutely. It's so good to see you guys and to be with you here. And yeah, again, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been such an incredible show to witness so far. I'm really thrilled to be a part of it. So we do go in classrooms whenever we go on our little tours together. We pretty much work 24 hours a day. We sleep a little bit. But
that's true.
Yeah, we go in classrooms with the boys and girls clubs all over the country and then perform in coffee houses and churches and clubs, all different types of places at night. So I think the last time we did 2 weeks together, we had a half a day off during that entire time, which was
it that much?
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, we have a great time together and it's really fun to work with 2 completely different poets than myself and to see how the crowd reacts to those dynamics of all of us and our different voices.
Yeah, we're sort of like the Mod Squad or the Blue Eyed Peas, depending on your generation. But
I want to thank you, Tim. I want to thank you, Tim, for bringing us. We've always known each other, but it was because of you. You're the glue, man, that brought us together and stuck us. So thank you for that.
Well, absolutely. Well, it came down to a fellow named Dick Renko, who's unfortunately passed away. Yeah. Dick was starting a performance venue in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and decided it'd be a good idea to do poetry. So he didn't have any idea how to do it, gave me a budget and asked me if I could work with that. And I could, and immediately I thought, Regie and Jena, the best educators, great performers. We put together a proposal, went into Fort Smith, Boys and Girls Club, middle school, opened for Chris Smither one time. They gave us a raise, brought us back, opened for Leon Russell another time. I mean, we're big in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Especially at the karaoke spots.
We are.
That's right. The night Jenna and Reggie were the guest judges at the karaoke was Brewster was something else.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you think? Should we say anything more? Should we just give them a sample of what they'd get if they saw us on stage?
Yeah, just give it to them. Let our words do our speaking for us.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's the trio of poets here.
There was a lady from beside a river. She was told is the great green gray greasy Limpopo River. And she was told by her fourth grade principal, Camille Dedrick. Now, she never knew no better till now. That river was great and gray and green and greasy, but limbing and popoing it were not none such. It were fast from crick to crick, and if your toe got in it, it'd suck you in into your death. The river that travels 65 miles per hour. You could lay 35 18-wheelers across it sideways with girly mud flaps on them. Breaker, breaker one now, this is Saddlehorn. You got your ears on. See any smokies out there? Come back. Shh. Shh. Yes, Saddlehorn, this is Red Devil. You got smokies up at mile marker 113. Look out. Shh. She licked her glasses, rubbed them gently on either side of her worn apron. The grandkids were playing by the river, and it worried her. When she was worried, her vegetable Tourette's would come. Beet, carrot, cauliflower, broccoli, red, yellow, green bell, peppers, potatoes, goodness, God almighty, cheese grits. She'd rock back in her chair, thinking of a cake and the kids drowning, and if a grit were really a vegetable, she was gonna die sooner and or later, via Condita. She wanted to hear that song. Remembered camping in Big Bend, the summer of 42. Fire sparks rose into the periwinkle sky, carrying her wishes on their tongues. They would deliver them to Zeus or Athena, and everyone would come to her party, bringing perfectly wrapped presents with notes and sweet bows. Now here up the hill comes 4 sunburned kids with cardboard boxes shoved up under their arms. Oh, aren't they beautiful fruit, said the lady as she fixed back on her glasses. Fresh pineapple inside, y'all. Y'all come on. Inside, she had plenty of hard candy and glistening crystal dishes, warm cookies and cold whole milk. She didn't realize when she was worrying on that great green, gray, greasy Limpopo River was truly the M-I, crooked letter I, crooked letter I, humpback, I river, and that river housed many a child on a self-made ship. Hold on, she called, ooga, ooga, warm pie smells, bits of flour and sugar cold coagulating in the fridge. Today is my birthday. She was barely heard as the words bubbled up back through the most beautiful squash casserole and sweet potatoes drizzled with grandma's molasses and large hunks of butter. Her grandkids surrounded her, glistening wet with sweat, holding colorful cut-up, re-glued, glittered construction paper treasures. A crown, a bracelet, a ring, and a tiny boat. Well, it floats, Granny! Oh, my little watermelons. She rocked back in her chair, slapping her hand up on her good knee, and said, the Greek gods could sit around all day wondering why they don't get a capital G, but you see, my little pickles, listen to me. Love, it'll come, and it'll go. But that river down there, she sure do flow.
You know, where I come up in Chicago, when a person really can sing so good that they get inside your molecules and just sort of,
destroy the bonds between the atoms, we don't say that person can sing. We say that person can sing. And likewise, when someone has a certain je ne sais quoi, a thing about them which is indefinable and inexplicable, we don't say that person has a thing. We say that person has a thing about them. Well, this is a sort of a secular humanist sermon dedicated to that thing that we all are connected to. Now each one of us who's felt it, know that it's the sweetest feeling felt. That gentle touch of spirit that makes all defenses melt. It evades your attempt at language, yet it speaks through everyone. And at night, when we are silent, you can almost hear it hum. It's the reason why we fall in love. It's why particles come in pairs. It's the yin and the yang of molecules. It's why E equals MC square. It's the reason we need poetry, 'cause some phenomenon can't be named. And I don't care what it is that began all this. Let's just be thankful for that thing. That thing, that thing. That thing, thing, thing. Be thankful for that thing. Now, I'm not telling nobody here nothing that they don't already know. And that is, everything's connected from the macro to micro. Don't believe your deceiving eyes. Look deep inside, you'll see it's true. That there's a universal union between the universe and you. Now some find it in religion, some in their weathered books of old, some through the arts and the sciences or peering through a telescope. But it's the mother of all mysteries, from DNA to the Big Bang. And I don't care what it is y'all call this. Let's just be thankful for that thing. That thing, that thing. That thing, thing, thing. Be thankful for that thing. We're talking prime causation, quantum fluctuation, cosmic inflation, particle creation, protons and neutrons colliding in deuterium, and then into hydrogen, and then into helium, and next comes the light out of a plasmic darkness, and then comes the time that the stars begin sparking in nucleosynthesis. First stars exploding, then another generation of stars begin their genesis. Dust balls forming, planets borning, Earth is then birthed, and then life begins dawning. Prokaryote, cyanobacteria to eukaryote, then multicellular life begins to settle in. Fish to amphibian, reptilian, mammalian, primate, great ape to Homo sapien. Whatever it is that began those things I've named. Let's just be thankful for that thing, that thing. That thing, thing, thing. Be thankful for that thing. Yeah, that thing, that thing. That thing, thing, thing. Be thankful for that thing.
Look deep into your heart. Look deeper then into your soul. Search the very bedrock of your being. Ask yourself but one question. Peer into your dark quarters. Examine those things about which you do not want to know. Grapple with your demons and your doubts. Find that deep and holy place within from where all the warmth of your being emanates. Immerse yourself in the rhythms of breath. Allow them to inform your senses and know, yes, the question is answered. Know again that this profound knowing guides your step as you stand in the whirring, buzzing morass of contradiction and complexity that we all live each moment of our lives in. Trust what you do not have words for as you face your fears, one by one, calling them into the light, meeting them feet apart, arms by your side, palms open. Stand as they glare at you and throw their punch. Allow the blow to remind you that they too are real. Then, not making a fist, forgive your fears. Leave them free to find their own path on the planet. It is this way with peace, both inner and outer. You retain your fragile control in a world that is out of your control. You face your foe
with open arms, would need be absorb the blow and wish a place in heaven to wait patiently for your adversary as they enjoy a long and fruitful life. Refuse to name an enemy. Let your grudges walk away with your fears. It is this way with peace. It can only be done completely.
Okay, that was our trio of poets, and we get together and perform live on stage whenever we've got the opportunity. It's one of the things that's been great. Poetry has opened up all kinds of doors. It's how I got to know and work with Flemons, as well as what you saw with the trio. But the poetry has had a life of its own, and I've had some songwriters take it to some other places, and they've weaved it into their repertoire. I'm going to bring up Ed White. Ed is one of the fellows that did that, and then I'm going to chat with Ed for a minute, and then Bernice Lewis also did the same thing. So Ed White, you look like you're really in the hostage video there. Come on, Ed.
I'm in a cloud. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
How you doing? Can you see me?
I can see you. We need to get him back up on the screen. So Ed, what prompted you to take my poetry and stick it into a song?
Well, it's just something I do. You know, I take words and I put music to them, and I thought you would be a good candidate. So that's what I did.
That's wonderful. I got to know Ed from the Cantab Lounge, a veritable Cantab that my good buddy Jeff Bartley anchored. And Ed, Ed, you're kind of like the ukulele king, aren't you?
Well, that's what Jeff calls me. I ain't no king. I'm just Ed. But
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your contribution, and thanks for showing up through your blurred out hostage video thing. What did you do? That was your duct tape the camera so that they don't spy on you deal?
It's a privacy issue.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. So it's really a pleasure to show off what Ed shared with this, and it's going to be followed up by Bernice Lewis doing the same thing.
Hi there. My name's Ed White, and I was asked by Tim Mason to participate in your little party, and I decided that I would refer to this book by Tim Mason and use it to write a couple of songs based on the lyrics of Tim Mason. Hope you like it. Happy birthday. Have a nice time.
Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. Oh, hippies piss me off. This whole hippies piss me off. Well, old hippies piss me off. Old hippies piss me off. Acting like they'd never been old hippies before. Forgetting that freedom means we make it up as we go along. Oh, and old hippies piss me off. Yes, old hippies piss me off. Well, old hippies piss me off. Old hippies piss me off. Going gray while old yippies go for tenure. The antics of their youth inspire me to encourage college students to grow your hair. Everybody say old hippies piss me off. Yes, old hippies piss me off. Well, old hippies piss me off. Old hippies piss me off. Everybody say old hippies piss me off. Yes, these old hippies piss me off. Well, old hippies piss me off. Old hippies piss me off.
Hey everyone, Bernice Lewis. I'm honored to be here with you today. I can't be here in person because this morning I'm putting in on a 10-day raft trip through the Grand Canyon on the Colorado River, and so I have to be with you virtually. I just want to take a minute to thank Tim Mason and the folks at the Old Vienna because I feel like I got a lot of my start there. I wish I could remember how many amazing songwriters Tim invited me to open for and how many open mics I drove out from Berkshire County to take part in and sometimes to be the featured guest. So it's a great memory. Like everyone else these days, I'm not getting a lot of opportunities to perform, but I am digging in pretty hard. So this is a song that I wrote. Basically what I did was I stole some lines from one of Tim's poems, and I've been kind of playing piano in the closet for a long time, but I have never played it in public. I used Tim's lines to write the chorus to this song. And so I took a deep breath, put my big girl clothes on, and went ahead and recorded a little video of this song. It's called Hundreds of Stars. And I hope we all get to be together soon. Thank you, Tim. Restitution, don't believe in revenge, don't believe that people come back from going over the edge. I believed you when you told me that you knew how I felt, and the small rooms that I live in and the hands I've been dealt. And there is no end, and it's only beginning. It's not about chords or colors or time. Hundreds of stars, thousands of stars, hundreds of thousands of stars. So you fill yourself with anger and you can't find your peace, and you hurt the ones who love you when you seek your release. And even when you're needed, and even when you bend, you can't find way to notice the message you send. And there is no end, it's only beginning. It's not about chords or colors or time. Hundreds of stars, thousands of stars, hundreds of thousands of stars. What you're missing, it's the luck of the draw. Hundreds of thousands of stars. Thanks for everything, Tim.
What a treat for me to have my words find their way into other people's art. I really appreciate both Ed and Bernice for doing that. I want to take a minute here once again to thank our sponsors, Five Foxes Spirits and New Mexico Harvest. The great work of Clover Media that Brandon's doing, Manhattan Beach Studios that Mark's doing, the entire front of the house team. This is a group effort, and we've not had enough time to prepare for this, and we're doing it anyway. But again, thanks to Five Foxes Spirits and New Mexico Harvest especially for helping out. The website, 0830club.com is still going to be live. You're going to have some other information there. If we get a good archive of this, we may allow you a chance to revisit if you want. This is a long show, sort of like a festival. Use the chats, use the side rooms. Hopefully some of the artists are popping over and you're getting a chance to get virtual autographs. So all that stuff is going on. Now, this next section, I want to, we gave nod to Mike Duffy earlier. There's another individual who was part of our scene, but also really paved the way for it. He was a stand-up comedian named Barry Crimmins. And Barry ran a legendary comic club. When I talk to Jimmy Tingle, we'll probably touch on what Jimmy did to give a nod to Barry. But Barry also performed often at the old Vienna Kaffeehaus and was a huge supporter of the poetry scene, lending his credibility to the work that the poets have been doing. So right now we're going to shift the spotlight over and we're going to remember our departed friend, Barry Crimmins, who is here in spirit, if not in person.
I went to my high school reunion. These guys saw me on TV in Boston, and they heard that I was promoting an AIDS benefit we were doing. And some of the boys later in the night said, "Crimmer, come out of the bar. We got to give you a chance to clear your name. Now, we heard you done an AIDS benefit. It isn't true, is it?" "Yeah, I've done dozens of AIDS benefits." "Well, you aren't queer, are you?" "I'm whatever threatens you." I had to do other things to augment my income. You become a left-wing political satirist during the Reagan years. It's not like an economic bonanza you're walking into. So people get mad at me. They say, "If you don't love this country, Barry, why don't you get out of it?" I say, "Because I don't want to be victimized by its foreign policy." And these kids, young male comics, I'll watch them. "Hey, what'd you think of my set?" And I kind of want to tell them, but Because they'll do this stuff, they'll do this real misogynist stuff, and then they'll close by complaining that they never get laid. And it's just... Maybe if you didn't say that shit through a sound system every night. Here's my trick with women, I like them. It's a crazy idea. It works, though. I am so sick of gun assholes. I'm a proponent of gun control. For those of you in the National Rifle Association, proponent means I'm in favor. They say if guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. I say fine, part of their job. If guns are outlawed, a lot of pinheads won't have guns. You know, we had the right to bear arms for over 200 years now. Fine, bear arms from over 200 years ago. I don't get nervous if I see somebody carrying a concealed musket. My favorite holiday is Martin Luther King Day. Number one, because it honors a great man. Number two, because it annoys bigots to no end. Martin Luther King Day, la 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 la. Can't believe the KKK is still around. There's a gutsy group of people. You better listen to us. Fuck you, we'll catch you on Laundry Day. Here's my point entirely about most politics. It's like, never trust anyone who wants to be in charge. Period. What kind of weirdo wants to be in charge? I don't want to be in charge. I've looked at this entire world, there's one glaring problem. I'm not in charge. It's hard for me to talk about this stuff. It's hard for me to, like, I don't even like talking because I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing. Like, I'm just going to blurt something. I'm just going to be up here one night and I'm just going to go, you know, I would really just like to club Donald Trump to death until his tiny brain pops up like a infected zit. Goodbye. And that wouldn't be helpful at all. It wouldn't, you know, so I have to use so much restraint, you know. He's such a fucking piece of shit, relentless piece of, you know, rancid fucking bag of horse assholes. You know, the toupee of Dorian Gray. Just thought of that right now. And I thank you all very much. Good night.
I do so miss Mr. Crimmins. It was great to bring him back. And now it's my pleasure to bring up a fellow who's been carrying on in the spirit that Barry created and moved it. And Jimmy Tingle, it was remarkable what you did with the 40th anniversary of the Ding Ho. It got me inspired to do this. And after doing this for half the time you are, I don't know how you maintained your poise as the MC.
Well, Tim, it's great to see you, man. You're doing a great job. I've been watching the whole show. It's so awesome to see you and to see what a great job Brandon's doing and all of your tech folks, and to see all the artists and musicians in this format is dynamite. And thank you for your kind words about the Barry Crimmins benefit and the Ding Ho reunion. It was proceeds benefited his wife Helen, who was very ill, and we raised a lot of money, a lot of spirits, and a lot of just good feelings. So, and we were able to do the tribute to Barry, and so many people said so many nice things about him. He started the Ding Ho, much like you at the old Vienna. He gave a place for people to perform and to learn the craft. and gave us the liberty to try things and to fulfill our potential as entertainers, like you do and like all these clubs do. And it's something you don't always appreciate at the time, but as time goes on, it means more and more to people. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I was really pleased. I had Barry play the Vienna, and then you came out and played the Vienna. And
yeah,
I tried to set it up as a place for you to work out new material, sort of a safe place to go. Did that actually work for you?
It absolutely did. It was one of the first places I got to, when I tried to transition from comedy clubs into the one-man show type format, it was one of the first places I worked. And it's the folk audience, obviously a listening audience. You can be funny, but you can be serious, you can make points, and it was a great place to perform, and I very, very much appreciate it, Tim. You were awesome like that, because some of the other performers talked about street performing. I was so passionate about performing when I started. I used to do street performing up in Harvard Square, and I admit, Tim, there is a fine line between street performing and simply being drunk in public. I admit that, but I had the spirit in me, man. I just wanted to do it, and when I wanted to do the one-person show, Don White encouraged me. He said, you should check out the folk scene, check out the poetry scene. So I worked with Brother Blue and all those folks over the years. And Richard Cambridge is on the call. I see him and his places and all the poets. And Regie Gibson, so awesome to see him as well. And so it's just a great thing that you're doing, Tim. So I just applaud what you're doing, and it's going to help the community. And this is one of the things you're going to be remembered for, brother. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. And you've been doing some of these virtual things as benefits, fundraisers.
Oh yeah, especially with the political season heating up. Barry was talking about Donald Trump, and the reality is, people, we got to be motivated, because Donald Trump is going to be very hard to beat. He cut corporate taxes. The corporations love him. He cut environmental regulations. The oil and gas companies love him. He actually cut regulations for Christianity. The 10 Commandments are down to 6. Ladies and gentlemen, he cut lying, stealing, cheating, and adultery. So we got to get our act together and beat this guy, brothers and sisters.
Great. Well, I wish you were speaking to us as a lieutenant governor of Massachusetts.
Well, the clip we're going to play is from the Sanders Theater on February 29th, 2020, right before the pandemic hit. I filmed the show. It's from the Sanders. It's called Jimmy Tingle's 2020 Vision. Why would a comedian run for office? And we filmed it, and hopefully it'll be out soon on some platform here someplace. And anyway, I hope you enjoy this. This is a piece on immigration. So I hope you enjoy it, Tim. And again, congratulations and thank you all. And I look forward to just being in the audience with everybody.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jimmy. And let's hear what he's got to say about immigration.
Largely, what is driving undocumented immigrants in this country is employers who hire them because they know they're really great workers for the most part. Think about this. Even the people who sneak into the country, think about this. Sneaking into a country to work. That's incredible. That's like somebody breaking into your house to clean it. We have to come up with a better system than go away. It's got to be better than go away. It's got to be something more sophisticated than the wall. Oh, excuse me. Now it's not even going to be a wall. Now it's going to be a fence. It's going to be a great fence. Like other great fences throughout history. The Great Fence of China. The Berlin Fence. The left field fence at Fenway. The fence between church and state. Here's my problem with the wall, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, I'm not an expert, okay, on immigration, but here's a couple of ideas about the wall. Number one, the country has 4 sides. 4 sides. It seems to me if you build a wall on one side of the country, people could go around the wall. So the country has 4 sides. So then logically, if the wall was going to work, you'd have to build a wall across the northern border as well. That's 4,000 miles. Then you need to build a wall up the East Coast. Then you need to build a wall up the West Coast. Then you need to build a wall around Alaska and Hawaii and all the little islands off the coast of America. Catalina, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Manhattan, Ellis Island, a 50-foot wall around the Statue of Liberty. People from other countries, people from the Midwest, coming to New York Harbor, looking for inspiration to the Statue of Liberty, all they'll see is the torch. Then we have to patrol the wall. That's 20,000 miles of wall. That's 103 million feet. We have to patrol 103 million feet, and you cannot have a Border Patrol agent here and a half a mile away, another Border Patrol agent. The human traffickers are quick. They'll go right up the middle. So we're going to need people every 3 feet, arm in arm, or at least holding hands, guarding the borders. We're going to need 31 million people guarding the borders, borders that could over mountains, through forests, and across deserts. And here's the biggest challenge. Are you ready for this? We can't use undocumented workers. Can't do it. They all have to be American citizens. 31 million American citizens guarding the borders. Who's going to do their jobs? We're going to have to import 31 million new immigrants to do the work while the 31 million citizens are guarding the borders. But the reality is, most people in the country who were here undocumented didn't run across the southern border. They did not swim across the Rio Grande. They overstayed work visas and student visas and tourist visas, and they came into the country on planes. And somebody's got to tell our government, a plane can go over a wall. So what the government really needs to do is build a dome over the United States and get JetBlue to pay for it.
Okay, Jimmy Tingle. Boy, oh boy. Jimmy, you nail it, and it is wonderful to have you here. Hopefully, Jimmy will be popping over to the house, and if you want to give him some high fives, you'll be able to do that at the signing table. See your host on the chat in the audience. But now, I think it's time. We're going to stay with this sort of kind of thought-provoking performer, but we have to give a nod to another one who's passed. But fortunately, we're here with Utah Phillips' son, Duncan Phillips, and Duncan has been working on something called the Long Memory Project. Duncan,
hey, Tim.
welcome to the stage, and you want to let folks know what you've been up to.
Oh, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And glad to see Ruby could join us. First time I met Ruby was at the hobo gathering down at Black Butte. She came up and said, "Hey, I think you know my dad." I said, "Who's that?" She said, "Tim Mason." That's how I met Ruby the first time. But the long memory kind of grew about from what my father used to talk about, the long memory, how it was the most important thing in America. And he always cherished that idea of never forgetting the people and the things that came before us. So after he passed away, I started the Long Memory Project with the website and archiving all of his Lover's Glory radio shows. And then I was fortunate enough that his old caboose that he lived in Vermont when he was recording with Philo Records came up for sale. So we started the nonprofit, the 501c3, the Long Memory, and we raised the money to move his old caboose, flanger car, from Vermont to California. We did that in 2017. And then we started to renovate it with the idea of making it an artist in residence and a gathering place for people. a place where people can come and hang out, have song circles, talk about organizing. People, when they really need a place to stay, could come stay. And it's at Black Butte, Center for Railroad Culture, which is kind of it's a hobo jungle, the most immaculate and pristine and the best hobo jungle anywhere in the world, ran by all manner of railroad people, from engineers to people that ride the trains. So I know we're short on time, but in a nutshell, that's what I've been up to.
That's great. I know you did some live performances at some point. Are you doing that again?
I haven't. You know, I got back together with my father after about 40 years, and he always wanted me to perform on stage, and I didn't know how to sing or play guitar, and I was afraid to get on stage with him. After he passed away, I started to teach myself to play guitar and sing. 9 months later, I played up in the Aladdin Theater in Portland, Oregon, in front of 1,000 people. First live performance I ever did, no coffee shops, nothing. Then after that, people were nice enough, like Passim and Linus, to let me come by and do tribute shows for my father with a group of other people. So I did that for about 3 years, and now I've been concentrating on the Flanger project.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us, Duncan. We've prepared a little retrospective, bring it up to date for the Flanger, and we're going to hear from your dad. But the Long Memory Project, that's still going on, and people can find some of the Loafer's Glory and some of the other stuff at your website still today. Is that
And
right?
some of some of Father's live shows that I've archived. I got about 50 live shows off of reel to reel, to DAT, to cassette that I've all started to digitize and put on the website as well.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here, Duncan. And let's run the clip and see what he's been up to. And give a nod to Utah Phillips, a golden
Thanks,
voice
Tim.
of Great Southwest.
Thanks, Brandon.
Oh, Daddy, what's a train? Is it something I can ride? Does it carry lots of grown-up folks and little kids inside? Is it bigger than our house? Well, how can I explain when my little boy asked me, Daddy, what's a train? When I was just a boy, living by the track, us kids would gather up the coal in a big old gunny sack. Then we heard the warning sound as the train pulled into view. The engineer would smile and wave as she went rolling through. She blew so loud and clear, we had to cover up our ears. We counted cars just as high as we could go. I can almost hear the steam and the big old driver scream with a sound my little boy will never know. Oh, Daddy, what's a train? Is it something I can ride? Does it carry lots of grown-up folks and little kids inside? Is it bigger than our house? Well, how can I explain when my little boy asked me, Daddy, what's a train? I guess the times have changed. Kids are different now. Some don't even seem to know that milk comes from a cow. My little boy can tell the names of all the baseball stars. I remember how we memorized the names on railroad cars. The Wabash and the TP, Lackawanna and the IC, yeah, the nickel plate, good old Santa Fe. Just names out of the past, I guess they're fading fast. Every time I hear my little boy say, Daddy, what's a train? Is it something I can ride? Does it carry lots of grown-up folks and little kids inside? Is it bigger than our house? Well, how can I explain when my little boy asked me, Daddy, what's a train? We climbed into the car and drove down into town, right up to the depot house, but no one was around. We searched the yard together for something I could show. I knew there hadn't been a train for a dozen years or so. All the things I did when I was just a kid, how far away those old memories appear. And I guess it's plain to see they still mean a lot to me, because my ambition was to be an engineer. Oh, Daddy, what's a train? Is it something I can ride? Does it carry lots of grown-up folks and little kids inside? Is it bigger than our house? Well, how can I explain when my little boy asked me, Daddy, what's a train? Thank you.
I'll teach it to you. This is Woody Guthrie's last song. By all odds, he was, on his way to the hospital. His disease was so far advanced. He wrote this during the Korean War. And then I added some words to it and changed some words to try to bring it down into our time. I didn't think that Woody would mind. I do indeed love the pleasure of your company, and I look forward to coming back and spending a great deal of time with you again as the years go by.
Why do your warships sail on my waters? Why do your death bombs fall from my sky? Why do you burn my town and my farm down? I've got to know, yes, I've got to know why. Why do your ships haul death to my people? Nitro blockbusters, big cannons and guns. Why can't your ships haul some food and some clothing? I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. Yes, I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. You try it, your turn. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. What good work did you do? I'd like to ask you to give you the money right out of my hand. I built your big house to hide from my people. I've got to know, yes, why you hide so. Why can't we spend more to build homeless shelters? Why are the homeless here anyhow? Fortunes are building on war and on killing. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know now. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. You locked me in jail, you put me in prison. Your hospital's jammed and your crazy house full. Why did your cop hurt my unarmed peace worker? I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. My friends are dying from AIDS and from cancer. Your big money goes where the death missiles fly. Built by good workers and paid by war taxes. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know why. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friend. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends all falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know.
Oh boy, Utah Phillips. I sure miss that chance to hang out with that gentleman. I used to see him perform, and instead of asking for an autograph, I'd slip him a poem. It was always very gracious about it. But Utah has a special connection. It turns out that when I went to, I grew up in Salt Lake City, high school and college. I went to the same junior high school that Bruce Phillips did. He went there when it opened. I went there when it was closed. But while I was doing that, I went on up to the University of Utah, and I got to meet this very good friend of mine. I've known you for what, over 40 years, Danny Quintana, and I want to introduce him to this community. So say hi, Danny. Let people see your face.
How's everybody doing today?
So Danny and I in college were activists. Danny was, we did these forums that were educational events, and we focused on the MX missile one year, and Danny is the fellow that took the ball, ran with it, and you wrote the legislation that got the MX missile stopped or something like that, right, Danny?
Well, it was a team effort, and I got the honor of drafting the legislation that stopped that first strike weapon system from being built. And Tim and Lois and Curtis and John and a bunch of other people, we all helped out. We organized the community. We educated legislators and the community, and we stopped a major weapon system from being built. My God, that was 42 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. We were just college kids.
We were young, God. Then all of a sudden we're in our 60s.
Yes, and I'm not sure how that happened, but so you went on to become an attorney, and then you've picked up a new cause, and I really want people to know what you're doing, and kind of know that we've been at it for all these decades.
Well, what I do is I write books, and I used to deliver wheelchairs all over the world with an organization called the Mobility Project. And my second to last book, Space and Ocean Exploration, The Alternative to the Military Industrial Complex, as I was doing the research, I was really shocked by the data. Half the wildlife in the oceans is gone. 90% of the large predator fish have been killed off, and we're killing over 200,000 sharks each day for shark fin soup, and we're destroying the coral reef. So what we've done is we put together an organization, the Global High Seas Marine Preserve, and the website is savingoceans.org. So go to the website, savingoceans.org. We need you to get involved, because now we have drafted legislation that would ban all foreign seafood from being sold in the U.S. market for 10 years, so we can give the fisheries worldwide time to recover. Because the United States is one of the largest markets for seafood in the world. We import 80% of our seafood, but less than 4% is inspected. So by banning foreign seafood, our American fishermen will get a steak that is much better than what they're getting now. They'll get a raise in their wages. The product, the value of the product will increase. And we can live without importing seafood from all over the world at a huge carbon footprint. So we need all of you to get involved. And you can do this in a variety of ways. The easiest way is just don't eat foreign seafood. But yeah, we're very passionate about that. And I've got an excellent crew and an excellent organization. And the main thing that we're going to have is your attention. So go to our website, savingoceans.org.
Right, and Saving the Oceans is in our 0830 Club website, is one of our partners. Danny and his organization helped spread the word on today's event. And I really wanted to reach way back, even before the old Vienna. Boy, I remember a young, virile Danny Quintana, and I was really impressed. And for me personally, to be able to connect back up with Danny is a real treat. So thank you for joining it.
We've been friends for forever, and he just can't get rid of me. I'm like a tired old suit.
Yes, well, you know, that's what this whole thing is about, is keeping all of these connections going. So I think Danny will be popping over into the audience, and if any of you were intrigued or want to know more about his Saving Oceans project, please have a chat with him. Also, look at our other sponsors, the Five Foxes Spirits and New Mexico Harvest. And now I think it's time for us to keep this show rolling. So once again, thank you for joining us, Danny. One of the other things I got to do after the Vienna went down, I was gypsying around through clubs. I've been working with Passim, and Passim is in good hands, still going. But there was a few years where we had just the sweetest little run at really getting back out into the Metro West. I was working with Ralph Santasuazo, and Ralph put together a club up in Lowell, Massachusetts called Capos. And we've got a little nod to Capos, and I'm going to bring Ralph up and let him take the MC chair for a minute. So let's see what we can remember about Capos.
Out, and I changed the way I look at love. I can't get down to the corner store, pick up some smokes, I'm out the door, and down, down, down again. You see, she don't know if she wants Mars or if she wants the sun. She just knows it in inside these four walls. Move on, face it, man. You can't save the world with a wave of your hand. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. Move on fast as you can, 'cause you can't save the world. No, you can't. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. Follow the moon, she walked across the desert straight through June. Spent summer out on the left. Me, I sewed up the radio shoes. I hammered on some soul and I kicked the blues with the legs that I had left. She walks the streets of Paris from between those flannel sheets. Studied Celtic wisdom in a living room breeze. Move on, face it, man. You can't save the world with a wave of your hand. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. Move on fast as you can, 'cause you can't save the world. No, you can't. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. Radio shoes, I hammered on some soul and I kicked the blues with the legs that I had left. Move on, face it, man. You can't save the world with a wave of your hand. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. Move on fast as you can, 'cause you can't save the world. No, you can't. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. You gotta give yourself just enough rope to hang on. To hang on.
Yes, the Capos Club. And that last image of the television was one of the finest tributes. It was a defining aspect of what the Capos Club was about. And my wife Shannon really put it together. But I want to bring Ralph up and chat with Ralph for a minute. So Ralph Sanasuazo, the guy that made Capos happen.
Hey, Tim, how are you? It's good to see you, my friend.
Good to be seen, Ralph. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what Capos was about? We had a nice 4-year run there.
Yeah, it's funny. As I said, I've been enjoying the show tonight, and as I sit and listen to the stories about the Vienna, it reminds me that it's funny how life is such a circle, and the impetus of Capos really got started with Robert Haig. Back in the early 90s, I was an apprentice of his at WCAT cable station, and Robert gave me a camera and put me in a tree to film the David Wilcox show in Copley Square, and that was really the thing that catapulted me into really loving this whole community and the music. Got me really started to. I was a rock and roll guy before that, but really got me started and enjoying a lot of this music. So, I kind of put a plan together. I met Ralph Jackadine at NAM one year and gave him my vision in a quick 2-minute meeting. And he looked at me, kind of sized me up for a second, and then wrote your name down on a piece of paper. Fast forward to 2003 when you said, "Hey, I have a friend you have to meet," and you bring Robert Haig into the room, and it all came full circle, So it was a great experience, and obviously without your help, it would have been a much bigger struggle for me. We were able to bring in some great acts. Town of Lowell really kind of embraced us at the time because the music scene there was. It was somewhat limited. They had the Lowell Music Festival's huge. We were able to participate in that and bring a great lineup to that. In fact, our next guest, Tom and Danielle, were big parts of the folk festivals. I remember we set Tom up to do a children's show on a Sunday, if you remember that. So it was a great experience. You got to see the film slide there, and the friends in the community that I was fortunate enough to get involved with through those 3 or 4 years still is a big part of my life. So I want to thank you and Robert for giving me the opportunity to bring it, to bring these shows to people. We had a great time.
That's great. You're thanking us instead of blaming us. So do we have Tom and Danielle here? Because we might as well let you go back into the
I think
row. Oh, there we go. So Ralph, why don't you take it away? You got Tom and Danielle around, and you got my daughter Ruby in the wings. I'm gonna let you drive for a bit. So my pleasure to hand the steering wheel back to Ralph Sanasuazo.
Ralph, what's happening?
Right. Tom, how are you?
I am living the dream. How are you, sir?
It's good to see you.
I'm not sure what I'm doing, how this works, what anything's going on. I'm figuring out. I'm the tech guy, too. I'm like, don't worry about me. I got tech. I do this stuff for a living. No problem. The engineers emailing me, "What's wrong? Why aren't you there?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I clicked on the thing." I'm dancing. Well, I have no idea. What's going on, man? How are you?
I've been good. Just trying to get through this like everybody. It's hard not being able to get out and see music live right now.
I have a question for you. Since we both can't do music live and hang out and be in clubs and do all this stuff, why have you and I not hooked up this season and gone on a motorcycle ride? Because that's a sin.
We absolutely have to do that.
We got to do that.
No question.
We got a couple biker. Look at us. We're a couple biker guys. We're wearing black.
And where I live right now, I live in Kensington, New Hampshire, and it's motorcycle heaven. It's all nice, beautiful, windy roads.
Well,
So
we're in Everett, Massachusetts, very close to Somerville, very close to Cambridge. We were actually in Worcester yesterday, close to where the old Vienna, I'm sure it was. And but we've poked our nose into New Hampshire, just along the border a few times. So I just got to go a little further north, man.
yeah, I'm 5 minutes over the border, not far. So and we are going to talk on the side of this, and I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, and nobody wants to hear this conversation. We're like, yeah, how you doing? You doing good? You doing? What was this? A coffee? What? Music? I don't know. Hey.
Well, I've seen you've been trying to keep busy. I noticed you got your your live stream of consciousness shows going.
I just started that up. I think it was really just a desperate attempt to communicate with a lot of musicians. I'm used to going by the club. If anybody doesn't know, I run a concert series. It's at the Bourne Backroom Series, 24-hour concerts. It's in Somerville. And I'm used to stopping by the club and making sure the engineers are set, making sure the door people are set, and all blah blah. And I'm used to just hanging with musicians, at least some chunk of just about everyday artists, session players, everybody, the crew, And I'm lucky enough to be in quarantine with my wife, who you're going to hear in a minute or two, but I do miss that communication, that hang. So finally I was like, well, I started doing some live shows, and they're fun, they're okay, But finally I was like, I gotta do something where I'm chatting with other artists who inspire me. And that's what we've been doing. It's Monday nights. It's called Live Stream of Consciousness. As you can see, I'm a live stream of consciousness kind of person. We just chat it up. We go wherever the podcast takes us. Sometimes an artist will play a song, but I've gone through the whole show and an artist just sits there with a guitar and we never get to a song. It's been a blast. I've really been having a good time with Live Stream of Consciousness. Monday night, 8 p.m.
Yeah, and it's a great way to to get exposed to new artists that I've watched a couple of them, and it's great. It's good conversation. Yeah, it's
awesome.
Really enjoyable.
It gives my wife an hour break. I'm not the center of attention for an hour. Hey, I don't have a video, and I know we're short on time. Should I go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
It's great to see you guys. And looking forward to hearing Danielle after this. And
Danielle's going to step right into this chair and take over right after me.
All right, sweet. Take it away, guys.
You guys hear that bass out there? Do you hear the bass out there? Because it's hard to tell because I don't hear my own sound coming back at me. Do you hear the bass out there? Internet world, in your little boxes, chilling out with Tim Mason doing his hair. I can see you in the little box, Tim. How you doing? You pawned me off to Ralph over there because, I'm tired of Tom. I do his freaking taxes, and he's a pain in the ass. He never does anything on time. Here's my song. I was in the crowd gathering business. I met you at the door and shook your hand. We'd pack 'em in tight, we'd hug, we'd kiss. The lights would go down and the singers would spit love in lyrics and everyone swooned, singing and dancing in a crowded room. I'd grab the mic, introduce the band, shoulder to shoulder, you gave him a hand. We put on a show, you gave us money. Now the doors are shut and the shit ain't funny. I'm searching up and down looking for a clue. The rent is almost due, that much is true. I'm shaking down people on the internet, trying to keep it light so we might forget that the world's gone completely mad. And this ain't fun we're having to wipe down and sanitize everything. Smile through a mask, keep your hands real clean. The world is completely fucked. I'm out of a job and I'm out of luck. I'm hoping this song's worth $1 or $2. And I mean it when I say thank you. Spent all my money on the very best internet service I could possibly get. Spent the rest of my money on all kinds of little gadgets so I can plug in all my things. Once again, I'm an artist's self-fulfilling meme. Spending thousands of dollars to play for tips to the masses on a screen. Trying to be sincere through a choppy feed. Read your comments and lose my place. I can't believe the screen froze with that look on my face. Venmo, PayPal, good for bucks, but you can't see the screen cause my backdrop sucks. Zoom fatigue is all I know. Either way it's okay cause I need the dough. So now I'm shaking down people on the internet, trying to keep it light so we might forget that the world's gone completely mad. And this ain't fun we're having to wipe down and sanitize everything. Smile through a mask, keep your hands real clean. The world is completely fucked. I'm out of a job and I'm out of luck. I'm hoping this song's worth a laugh or two. And I mean it when I say thank you. True story. And I mean it when I say thank you. Very true story. And I mean it when I say thank you. And I don't mind if you talk through my song on Zoom. Thank you. Or explain to me all the tech problems I already knew. Like at the beginning of this show. Sorry, Brandon, I see you there in a little square with your really cool beard. I don't know what the hell happened. I watched the entire thing with my head directly up my butt. Sorry about that, dude. At least we got it off the ground. Thank you. Or when people actually ask for a refund because I did not honor a request. Freaking happened. Hey. I'm doing my best to remember for every 1,000 people out there that are cool like you, there's always gonna be one tool. Usually it's me. True story. Hey out there, wear your mask. Don't be a freaking fool. I'm trying to get back to business. I don't care if it makes you drool. And cover your freaking nose too. What do you think you are? Nostradamus trying to predict the future. I'm gonna tell you what the future's gonna be. It's gonna suck if you don't put the mask on. I wanna put on shows again. Come on, do the right thing. And I mean it when I say thank you. True story, everybody sing out there. I'm shaking down people on the internet. I'm trying to keep it light so we might forget. I'm shaking down people on the internet. I'm trying to keep it light so we might forget. I'm shaking down people on the internet. I'm trying to keep it light so we might put up this cool backdrop and forget. Yeah. How's that, Ralph?
All right. Let's hear it for Tom Bianchi. That's a great one. Keeping it light's important these days, Tom.
I'm letting the real talent get in the way or get on the stage or whatever. Here you go. See you later.
Take care, my friend.
Hey, Ralph.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. It's great to see you.
You too.
So, what have you been doing to keep busy? I know, you and Lisa did the Barrows Center a couple weeks back, right?
Yeah, the Narrows. Yeah, we did a live stream
Narrows
from
Center.
there. I've been doing, actually did a couple of live shows earlier in this, did like a drive-in thing at the MMAS, and Tom and I did a house concert. So I've done a little bit. It was nice. It was like after about 4 months of not doing anything but live stream, so it felt really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is going to be great to be able to at some point get back together again out live. So
yeah, absolutely. So and I'm putting out a record soon, like in a month.
Great. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I had been playing so much with my band, and luckily I actually recorded a folk blues acoustic record just before all this happened, because now, it makes sense to be playing solo a lot. So yeah, it's called Bright Shining Stars. It's actually, the title track is Tom's song. It's a Tom Bianchi cover.
When does that, when you expect
it's
that
coming
to
out
drop?
October 16th on Viztone Records.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
We're looking forward to hearing it.
Thanks. Me too.
And, well, what a perfect segue. With
All
no
right.
further ado, why don't you do it?
I'm going to play an acoustic song. This isn't on it, but I'm going to do this one.
All right, great.
Thank you, guys. It's nice to do. This has been, first of all, sorry, I'm going to just, my song's really short, sorry. This has been awesome. Thanks, Tim, for inviting us to do this. And
Thanks, Tim.
This is nice. This is a nice hang. It was so good to see everybody. It's been so good to see everybody. It reminds me of like back in the day when we would do this at Capos, or, it just, I don't know, and just the whole crew. So it's good to see everybody. Take some beats and drop them in. Build the tracks. rock star in your head. Open your mouth and say some things and call them facts. Preach like gospel and watch it spread. And everything is true now. Grab whatever you can use. Throw it in a pile and make your own news. We imagined a monster and we made it real. I believe anything that I already feel. The sky is falling and I don't think it's rain. We're marching right into the fox's mouth. The man who mutters to himself is sounding pretty sane. The call is coming from inside the house. And everything is true now. Grab whatever you can use. Throw it in a pile and make your own news. We imagined the monster and we made it real. I believe anything that I already feel. And if you tell me something I don't want to know, I got a stone in my hand all ready to throw. And everything is true now. Grab whatever you can use. Throw it in a pile and make your own news. Make your own news. Make your own news. Make your own. We imagine a monster and we made it real. We imagined a monster and we made it real. We imagined a monster and we made it real. Oh, we had no sound for a second. Hi, thank you.
That was great, Danielle. Thank you.
Thanks
I
so
like
much.
it.
Thank you, Ralph.
Great song. Look forward to hearing the new release.
Thank you.
See you later, guys. We'll be here,
Bye,
but
guys.
we might go away because who knows what we're going to do off camera.
All right. So, again, great memories of some of the shows we did with Tom and Danielle, and want to thank Tim again for including me in this. It's an honor to be kind of part of this group. So next up, I believe we're going to hear from Ruby.
Hey.
Hey, Ruby. How are you?
Doing good. Just got a bunch of work done on my project. I'm building a really sturdy carport over the trailer that can withstand a northern Minnesota winter.
Nice. You're in Minnesota.
Yeah, North Shore.
All right. What have you been doing there? What's been keeping you busy?
I've mostly been helping my friends who have been like building up a cabin. There's one here and then one in Wisconsin, and just hiking around and seeing beautiful spots. It's really pretty up here. Just working on projects, and yeah.
It sounds good. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah.
You've grown.
Good to see you.
In fact, I'm going to embarrass you for a second. When I was putting together the slide deck for Shannon, I came across a photograph.
Oh, wow.
Falcon Ridge Folk Festival.
Oh my
I
God.
don't know, like
yeah,
2004 or 5. And there's my daughter Erica and my other daughter Molly and my stepson, my stepbrother David. So I don't know if you remember those guys, but Erica asked for you often, as Molly does. So yeah, that
I'm
was
still kind of in touch with Erica on like social media, but oh, yeah, you said it was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing. Thank you.
I couldn't resist though, but it was I remember we had a great time that weekend. I don't know what you remember of it, but it was a lot of fun. We had a blast.
Yeah, I definitely remember having fun hanging out with all y'all, for sure.
So you're gonna do a song for us?
I sent in a video.
All right.
Yeah, I could do it now, I guess, but I didn't do the sound thing. I'm just on like on a phone. So
nice. So
yeah.
So give me a little background on the video we're gonna see.
I just chose a simple banjo tune that I've been playing for a while. I like Red Rockin' Chair. With the last verse is actually my friend Mitch wrote that, and who lives in North Carolina. But yeah, just like old time. I've been mostly really focused on old time Appalachian music, fiddle mostly, but I don't have a fiddle right now. But banjo. Otherwise, I like to play like kind of country style guitar, kind of honky tonk stuff. But I went with the banjo because that was a request from Dad.
You've been playing a banjo for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I started off with a banjolele that I called a banjolette because I tuned it to open G, how banjos are tuned, and I asked Dom about it. I was like, does this make sense? Because I want to learn how to play the banjo, but I was riding trains at the time, so I didn't want to carry around a banjo if I didn't know how to play it. So I just learned on my banjolette, and now I moved up to a full-sized real banjo. But
excellent. Well,
yeah,
looking forward to seeing it, and it's great to see you again.
Yeah, really good to see you.
All right, and
Hey, Dad.
stay safe, and at some point we're all gonna get together again, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
All right.
Cool. Thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey everyone. Great to be a part of this. Hype Pop, happy birthday. I'd love to play y'all a fiddle tune. I don't currently have a fiddle. It's in pieces right now. But play you a fiddle tune on banjo. My voice is a little bit rough because I had strep throat recently, which, despite all your best efforts to stay healthy, what are you going to do? I hope everyone out there is being safe, staying healthy, and staying sane through all these crazy times. Lots of love for all y'all. Hope you enjoy.
I'll let her in the shade of your mama next payday. Send it to your mama next payday. Sing the song, we'll call you honey when I'm gone.